Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your excited host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And you know why I'm excited? Well, because June and the Xbox Showcase is right around the corner. Lots of like little happenings within Xbox to get you excited. It's gorgeous. It's a mere 53 or 54 degrees in New Rochelle. Plenty of sun, nice cool breeze. You're going to get some Halo gameplay. I just bought a bunch of new armor cores because, you know, I'm not a whale when it comes to a Halo, but I like having different Spartans, and I don't mind spending a couple of bucks because I have a ridiculous amount of time in Halo. But we have a lot of smaller topics. Did anyone catch that limited edition, one-of-a-kind X-Men 97 Series X? My God, I would race to the store and pay $600 for that right now. Give me the Wolverine controller in its case, where it's kind of like hang like an action figure. I'm going to bring it up on the screen. Super dope. Today, folks, if you didn't know, Tales of Kanzaria launched. It's officially out. I thought I was going to have some gameplay, but it wasn't available. Maybe it'll be available after 1 when it officially launches. I'm super excited to talk about that. I'm actually going to open up the show with that because I kind of want to get people looking at this game. It's gorgeous. It has an amazing story. Abubakar Salim is the director, the originator who's telling this story. I just finished watching his video, My Shoes, Your Feet, and it's about 13 minutes and 10 seconds. I'm not going to front, folks. When he starts talking about his pops, like, honestly, I got like super choked up because my dad is my hero, as you all know. I close out every show with something he taught us when we were kids. So hearing him talk about his dad and how he influenced him is crazy because, like I said, I'm even getting choked up live on the air. But we have a lot of little stories. Xbox going VR? Well, kinda. I got a story that obviously broke yesterday. It was announced that there is a partnership with Meta Horizon OS. It is going to be available for a few things, and Xbox is one of the first things that he mentioned. I'm super excited about that. But let's get into the introductions. Hey, we'll start first with Infinite Umbra, my brother. How are you, kind sir?
I am good, Boom. I'm happy to be here with you guys today. Shout out to the chat family. Yeah, we got some good stuff to talk about, man. I mean, a lot of stuff to be excited about, of course. You know, the old rumor and not the rumor, but the old speculation is, oh, gaming is in a gaming rut. I disagree with that.
Oh, dude, I saw that yesterday and I wanted to comment, but real life got in the way and I kind of forgot about it. I don't know who said it, but if you want to kind of like talk about it, I don't know what rut they're talking about because
I don't either.
I don't have enough time to play all the games that I'm playing. Fallout 4 has stolen my life, and the thing I love about it is that it brought me back to why I love Bethesda games. I'm just traveling the world and I'm finding stuff and I'm going off here. It's just, this gaming is so much fun. I don't know what rut he's talking about.
Yeah, I don't either. I think I don't want to name names, I guess, just in case, but
we can have a general conversation. We're not attacking anybody, but I would disagree with that statement 1,000%.
I think it was the guy. What is it? Spawn? It's not Spawn Wave.
Purple
lettering of background. I cannot remember.
Something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I believe it was them that said, and they did a poll. I don't know if he was necessarily stating it, but it was a poll he was doing to ask if that was the case. So to be fair to them, just in case, because I can't quite remember it in detail. But I remember a lot of the conversations that came out of it because a lot of people, you know, commented on that in not only in his thread, but in general, like separate tweets and stuff like that I saw that I follow. Like, for instance, Miles, our brother Miles Dumpierre, he even posted about it and he listed off all these games. He said, how could gaming be in a gaming rut with all these games, right? And he listed all these great games. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So then eventually I saw that tweet. I was like, oh, this is why you said that. So, yeah, it's a weird thing, but I believe that it tells you a lot about how socially you can be misled to feel a way or made to feel a way
Yep.
based off the negativity of other people that you keep around you. And I think that's what that comes down to. Also, too, maybe you got to broaden your horizons. I think some people will kind of get stuck into I think a lot of times, I'm sure you guys have felt this, you and Jamie, where you're playing something or you want to play something, and you're like, I don't really feel like playing anything right now. And sometimes I've learned, at least, that it's not just because you don't want to play something. It's probably because you want to play something different, but you haven't realized it yet. And stepping outside of your comfort zone of playing the same type of game can actually open up your, not only open up your horizons, but kind of open up your eyes and your mind to a liking and enjoying of the genres and things like that in gaming. I remember doing that with shout out to Game Pass with Mutant Year Zero. I wasn't into those types of games. I wasn't into turn-based, tactical style games like an XCOM style. Mutant Year Zero, of all games, this quirky little thing where you play as, these mutant duck and the pig, and that game actually got me and caught me. And I was in that, what I thought was a rut. It was just that I was so tired of playing the same type of thing. And I was on that and played the hell out of that. And it brought me back into doing what I do and what I love. You know what I mean? So I just think it's weird. But especially considering all of the crazy releases we've had already this year and last year, it's like, it's an odd statement to make. That's all I took from it.
No, I'm glad we're having this conversation because there's something to be said. And again, if it's Spawn Wave, I believe, who started the conversation. Listen, they're entitled to their opinion. They got a very big following. A lot of people like their stuff. I don't watch their stuff, but that doesn't mean I dislike them in any way. I want to specifically kind of focus on this because there's something to be said, ladies and gentlemen, about being a spoiled gamer. Now, what I'm saying isn't necessarily what you might think it is. Um, as a gamer, right, who has multiple shows per week, I am inclined to purchase not only every console under the sun so I can talk about it truthfully, but I buy a lot of games because my tastes are across the board. I like shooters, I like RPGs, I like open worlds, I like card games, I like puzzlers. So I buy a lot of games. And that's the key thing here. I buy a lot of games. Whether they're games from yesteryear, right now, Jamie had put out a tweet that there's a certain subset of games that are buy one get one free on Xbox right now for back compat games. I just bought the two older Ghost Recons. They were $20 a piece. I bought one for 20. I got one for free. Definitely go check out that sale. But I love all kinds of games. But I also purchase a lot of stuff. Now, I don't know this for sure, and maybe I'm overstepping, but I kind of want to just maybe give an insight as to maybe why the Spawn Wave guys thought this. They don't really pay for much. They get a lot of games to review. And maybe because they get a lot of games to review, they don't appreciate how many games they're actually out. Now, like I said, I'm buying games every other week. Whether it's an indie, whether it's a AAA bomb, or somewhere in the middle, I'm always buying something, and I love it. I have so many games on tap that I buy more games than I actually have controller hands and time in a day to play. I'm right now in the midst of two massive games. Fallout 4, I'm replaying. Obviously, the Fallout 4 update is coming this week, and I'm also playing Dragon's Dogma. But I purchased and I can't not wait to play Tales of Kanzaria. I think that's going to be dope. It looks absolutely amazing. Where's the rut? But Jamie, let's bring you in. First of all, welcome back, brother. Nice to see you here. Appreciate you being a part of the show when you can be here. Where do you kind of feel where this rut is coming from? Because I honestly don't see it. And again, this is not an attack on anybody. This is being just my personal opinion. They're entitled to theirs. I cannot correlate a rut in gaming right now.
Thanks, Boom, for having us on again. It's I wanted to talk about this, and I didn't think this was actually going to be a topic. So here we go. The gaming rut thing, I just laughed. It's like you have to broaden your horizons. I notice a lot of people that say things like that. They stick to one genre. Like, say if someone particularly covers Nintendo games, you're going to be playing a lot of like 3D platformers and types of stuff, right? And it's going to seem like you're in a bit of a rut. And like Umbra said, there's times when like, I mainly play role playing games. So every so often I mix it up and I play a first person shooter campaign or a third person shooter campaign because it's something completely different than an RPG. And I think too many people just stick to one type of game. And you'll notice on YouTube specifically, like once every few months, you'll see a video go viral with like millions of views, and it's always titled like "Gaming is Dying." But if you watch the video, it's always them talking about multiplayer from like the Xbox 360, like Modern Warfare and Halo 3 and stuff. They don't play like the games we all play, like AAA, indie, AA games that release every single month. They just stick to these multiplayer games. And like to say gaming is in a rut right now, like 2023 was one of the best years in gaming. It's going to go alongside 2010 and 2007. And 2024 looks like it's going to be just as good. The year it's April, but the year is going to get even better as the months go on. And to say gaming is in a rut, it's like you're not playing enough games. And like you said, Boom, like if you're someone that has hundreds of thousands of subscribers, your chances are you're getting almost every single game for free. So it's like if you buy a game, you want to play it because you've bought it and you've been looking forward to it. But if you get everything for free, maybe you don't have that same want or need to play those games. Doesn't matter how good those games are or how many you get. And like I've nothing against that Spawn Wave guy, makes good content. But like if you get everything for free or so many different offers, maybe you're not really having the want to play some of these games. And I talk about this a lot on my channel. Like, if you notice at the end of the year, you'll see these indie games and these AAA games get awards and like get talked about a lot. AA games never get talked about, which is why I always try and push them and recommend them to people. Like RoboCop Rogue City was one of the best games last year, and it's a
Oh my
AA
god,
game.
so good.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Yep.
great game, and it was faithful to the source material, and it was perfect. It was basically the RoboCop 3 we always wanted. And like not a lot of big channels were talking about that because if you're an 8-bit game that is like, Vampire Survivors that pretty much captures the market and everyone wants to play it, and then you have these AAA games that everyone wants to talk about and play, but these AA games no one gets talked about. So this gaming thing, I think it's just people limiting themselves to one or two genres.
Well, look, I just want to respond to Scott Woodford, who's always here in the chat. Scott, welcome as always. He drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, to be fair, games are not innovative, in my opinion. Spawn Wave pays for most of his games. Now, I don't know. I can't say that he does. And if you do, then you obviously watch him, and that's cool. I didn't make any kind of stake in the ground statement that, hey, listen, boo, he gets things for free. I don't want anything for free. I get nothing. As much as I'm an Xbox fan, I buy every one of their controllers. I get nothing. I've gotten a couple of games for review, I think it was Gears 5 I did a review for, and Horizon 5 I did a review for. I don't get a lot of stuff. I do get offers for many games to review, but I don't review games. It's not a review site. This is not a review channel. I talk about games through my experience. Whether he gets them for free or not, I'm not going to argue that point. So, Scott, thank you so much for the generosity. What I am going to say, though, is a lot of people in the chat here are talking about potential entitlement kind of an issue with having potentially thousands and thousands of subscribers and the ability to get these games. Because, of course, if you are a publisher, if you are a small indie developer, you want to get your game onto a channel by offering that game as, hey, talk about my game, please. Hopefully they do. And they have all of these thousands of subscribers. I personally cannot understand when I saw this conversation yesterday, Jamie, I was a little bit taken aback because I'm like, I am playing stuff like right now. If you didn't know, Tales of Kanzara is available on PlayStation Network as part of the service, which is dope. It's one of the few new games that they've gotten this year that is day and date in their service. Please go download that game, play it there if you have the service. On Xbox, obviously you're going to buy it, which I did, and I'm going to play it there because I prefer Xbox because of the achievements and everything. But just looking down the road in the last couple of weeks, I've purchased so many games that I literally don't have any time to play them. So again, it's an opinion, and no one's attacking anybody. In a Spawn Wave, certainly they're entitled to theirs. I just saw it yesterday, and I could not equate the rut aspect of it. I just think that there's way too many guys now. And now, if they came out and said, I'm overwhelmed with the amount of games that have come out in 2024, I'd second that, because I'm like, he's right, because there are so many freaking games that there's just not enough time. The rut part, I disagree. Any last words, if you would?
It also makes me think too. Sorry, Jamie. I was going to say it makes me wonder too, and I don't know him enough to say, but it makes me wonder in general about not only his view of it, but in general, people have this more pessimistic outlook when it comes to things. So I wonder if he or people like that feel that way are influenced negatively just because they're more pessimistic, or they've been more pessimistic toward gaming. Because often I see people have this really negative view about gaming on like social media, be it Twitter or whatever it is, and they're like, they're so down about everything. So I wonder if that plays into it at all. And it's like, this game just isn't good enough, even though the game is stellar. You know what I mean? I wonder if that plays into it at all. So the whole thought of it being in a rut just doesn't add up, not with what we have. And it goes beyond just something like, oh, it's a shiny, beautiful game. Right. It goes to the reviews of it. The reviews clearly say these games are good or great. Yeah. So it can't be that we've played these games. We know they are. So I wonder if it's just negativity that feeds into more negativity that makes them feel that way and feel like they have to be, as negative as well. I wonder if that colors their perception.
Drake Williams in the chat says something very interesting. So welcome, Drake. Thanks so much for obviously being here and throwing a comment in there. Drake Williams says Spawn Wave is a PlayStation gamer. Maybe that's why he's crying. Now, again, I'm going based on what Drake is saying, and I don't know for sure, but it makes sense, Jamie. And I'll tell you why. PlayStation, regardless of how many consoles they've sold, the highlight for them this year, as we talked about this yesterday, is without a doubt Helldivers 2. Right?
I thought you were going to say Foam Stars. I'm like, yeah.
Well, no, it's certainly not Foam Stars. I keep calling it Soap Stars, so thank you for the correction before I even made the mistake. It is Foam Stars, damn it. And yes, no one is talking about that. But what's interesting is this comment. Now, if Spawn Wave, again, is a PlayStation dude, maybe because PlayStation has not really done a lot for its gamers this year. Now, again, highlight, I just talked about it. Tales of Khansaria is in their service. That is a major get. That is a big game. That game is going to be, just based on what we've seen, I'm telling you, it's going to be in one of those Game of the Year conversations, whether it's in the top 6 at the Keeleys, because they like throwing an indie game in there. And this is an indie game at its core, and it looks freaking gorgeous, right? Or in the indie section itself. We don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see, but it's in the service. So yes, if you have that service, go download this game and play it. It looks amazing. But Jamie, I think Drake might be onto something. Again, I don't know Spawn Wave enough, but it's interesting that he has enough pull in the industry that we're actually having this conversation, because like I said, I 1000% disagree. I think that gaming was insane last year, and I think it's going to be even crazier this year. But again, if you're a PlayStation gamer, well, you're not getting much past their third-party deals.
Yeah, I mean, from what I see, I think that Spawn Wave guy, and again, I like some of his content when I get to see it. I always get the impression he comes off as a Nintendo-centric person.
Oh, okay.
And the thing is about Nintendo is that Nintendo, they've had a massive success this generation.
They sure have.
They number one. People like to pretend PlayStation's number one. It's like, no, it's Nintendo. But Nintendo's on like the end of their generation. The games they're coming out with is pretty slow. They had a Princess Peach game recently, I believe, but the rest of the
I
year is
bought
pretty
it.
dry. Yeah, the rest of the year is pretty dry. We don't really know what's coming. And PlayStation, they having a slow year. They came out with Helldivers, and everything that's coming out this year for PlayStation is basically a third party exclusive. And you look at Microsoft, like they having a good year. They finally got their eggs together, and they're coming out with multiple first party titles that look great. But Nintendo and PlayStation, they may be having a huge success with consoles, but first party wise, it's not really an interesting year. And I think it's lunacy to think that this year we're having a gaming rush. It screams to me people are limiting themselves to what they play because the wide variety of genres coming out at the minute. You have fighting games, horror games, sci-fi games, open world action RPGs, side scrollers, everything across the board. And it's like we're not in a rush. Just people need to open the horizons. And if it could be the Nintendo thing because again, I can't think of one Nintendo exclusive coming out this year, and I think, like you said, Boom, a lot of people focus on negativity. A big thing to push in gaming is talking about exclusives or lack of exclusives, and some people only talk about exclusives. We see them on Twitter all the time. They never talk about third party games. They never talk about indie games. They're like, hey, I just discovered this game I've never heard of before. It's like, no, we're just going to talk about exclusives. And so many people I see that, like a bunch of people have replied to me in the past saying, hey, Jamie, there's nothing coming out this year. And I'll list off a bunch of games and they'll be like, oh, none of them are exclusive. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, there's more games than exclusives. There's thousands of games that come out every year, and you're just going to talk about, like, let's be honest, right? We all have these consoles. Doesn't matter if it's Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. We all playing pretty much the same games every year. It's just a few different games are different, and too many people get hung up on the whole exclusive thing, and I think that's where the whole rut thing's coming from.
I agree. Look, folks, gaming is so amazing right now. I don't care what platform you love the best, right? I'm an Xbox guy. I have everything except for PC because I'm not a PC guy yet. But I'm gonna explain that a little bit later. I'm not getting a rig, folks. Don't worry. I'm not going PCMR. I just can't. It's too much. Hey, listen, Paris. Is this Paris Lily in the chat? Paris, what's up, my brother? Hopefully you're doing well with the family. FYI, I'm going to be out in LA for that Games Week thingamajig. I'm hoping to run into you and Danny and kind of meet in person. I've been a big fan of you for a long, long time, especially you and Danny on Gamertag, and it would be dope to actually kind of hook up and maybe have a Dr. Pepper. That would be super cool. He says this 2023 was arguably one of the best years in gaming history, but it was carried by third party and indie titles. Indeed, it was. 1,000% agree with that.
Absolutely.
So look, I want to segue to, I think, a game that I don't think it needs promotion from my small channel, but I like to be in the conversation of, we like to help others on this channel, right? We bring in new voices, whether you have, 5,000 subscribers or 5, right? We bring it out on a regular basis. And I do want to talk about Tales of Khansaria because that comes out today. It's getting a lot of big buzz. Abubakar Salim is the obviously the story is based on his personal beliefs. Again, I to open up the before we went live, I watched his My Shoes Your Feet YouTube videos, 13 minutes and 10 seconds. It's moving, folks. Like I said, I got super choked up on many parts because when he starts talking about his pops, that kind of falls in line how I talk about mine. And what I want to do, if it's cool with you folks, is pause this footage, and I do want to just show the trailer, get you if you don't know what game we're talking about. I do want to throw it up there because it is something that you should consider. Again, it's not an expensive game. It's an indie title. It's available on PlayStation Network. All you got to do is, if you are a top tier subscriber, download. That's it. Download and play the game. If you are an Xbox gamer, go and to the Xbox store and support an indie dev that has an amazing story that I think everyone should really check out. Honestly, it's phenomenal. So let me just do a quick screen share. if you don't mind, because I really want to put this on Front Street. It's special, and I'm gonna listen. I don't know. Hopefully I don't get a like a takedown strike or anything like that. I'm gonna play it with the music and everything. Hopefully it goes through with no problems. But let me just do that real quick. Let me do a full screen and check this out, folks.
Kalunga, god of death, hear my plea.
And why, Zhao, have you called me to the realm of the living?
It is told that there are 3 great spirits who have denied you. I seek my Baba's return in exchange for these spirits. Tales of Kinzera Zhao takes you on a journey through a land enriched with myth and legend, but torn apart by illness and tragedy. Grief is ever present here. From the arid deadlands, the harsh and unforgiving terrain, to the dense and dangerous forest floor of the woodlands, a place laden with mystery and fear. In your arsenal, you carry your late father's masks. The Mask of the Moon, utilized best for crowd control, and the Mask of the Sun, a chaotic ballet that compels you to engage spirits in melee combat. The Mask of the Moon, the Mask of the Sun, you must embrace the dance of the shaman. Each ability gained by the player can be used both traversally as well as in the fray of combat. For example, take Akida's spear. Not only can it be used to activate elements that are out of reach, but also engage and pierce through multiple enemies at once. And with each small victory along your journey, you will grow and better yourself, obtaining powers and tools that allow you to turn the tides of battle in your favor.
The way you took that Rojo out was amazing!
You should not sneak up on people, young shaman.
We are shamans, healers in a land long past healing.
The complexities of grief inspired the foundations of the world of Kinzera. You will be faced with intricate puzzles, arduous obstacles, and deceptive traps that demand both patience and skill to overcome. And though the path is fraught with adversity, an even fiercer battle rages within you. Mercy is a rare flower that blooms in the lands of Kinzera. But you can do this. I know you can.
Dope. Absolutely freaking amazing. Looking forward to that. Look, at the end of the day, again, I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. For me personally, Tales of Kinzera looks amazing. It's definitely, again, just saw the 2-minute trailer. I got Prince of Persia and Ori, kind of vibes and feels for it. I think it's one of those stories that you just love seeing. Like, he is so transparent on how he told the story and where it comes from. And he's been on all the socials. Obviously, shout out to the Longhouse Gaming Podcast. My brothers over there, Supernova, the Black Skellington, and the Black Viking, they did a review. Their first review was this game. They had Abubakar Salim on as well. I love the work that they're doing. But let's Umbra, you got a chance to play this on Steam. Is it as gorgeous as we're seeing?
It's more gorgeous, believe it or not. I get a little annoyed because we use Twitter as a main delivery method, right? When it comes to communicating with everybody, and it's insane how much they compress. Even on YouTube, how much is typically compressed and shown when it's not a fair representation of how good the game looks. I felt that way when I shared some recent screens or clip, at least screen and clips of No Rest for the Wicked. And I'm like,
which, by the way, 35 hours in, dude,
yeah.
you destroy games. Oh my
God. That tells you how much I'm loving that game, by the way. If you see me put that much time into it, I'm loving it. But that, even with me sharing that, I felt a little annoyed because it does not fully capture just how gorgeous No Rest for the Wicked is. It's the same thing with Tales of Kinzera. Playing it, actually, because I played it on the Steam Deck. Excuse me, not the Steam Deck, the ROG, and I tried it also on the PC. It's gorgeous, man. It plays beautifully. The voice acting is solid. It you know what it felt like to me? It felt like, you all remember Black Panther, the movie. Remember how he was in that ancestral plane when he took and I'm about to slap my head here for being a comic nerd and forgetting the name of it, but he was in the ancestral plane after taking the heart-shaped root heart-shaped.
Black Panther.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but it kind of reminds me of that, the color palette choices and things of that. So it's really colorful, it's really beautiful, and the controls feel really good, which you have to have in a Metroidvania. This is a Metroidvania, one of my top genres, by the way. So automatically, I'm going to be playing it. So that also is just for anybody who's wondering, like, what type of game is it? So it's I wouldn't say it's standard, but it's in a fashion of any good Metroidvania, like a Prince of Persia, for instance, of recent fame in that genre rather. Gorgeous. And yeah, I think you guys would honestly like it. And it's priced really well too, to its credit. Versus a Prince of Persia, which is what, 50 or whatever. People were like, it's too much. Versus this is only what, $17. So I think it's a steal for that price, honestly. But as far as what, going to Abubakar, and like you said, shout out to Black Viking and the Longhouse guys for doing that, getting him not only on the podcast, but also getting their review out, their first review. I talked to him behind the scenes, Black Viking, about it and stuff like that. And, I wanted to make sure to encourage. I need to do more like that. So I'm proud that he, he's going out there and really, really like grabbing these names and stuff like that and doing his thing, him and his group. So shout out to those guys. But one of the things that caught me, and I'm sure all of us, I imagine most of us are typically family orientated, right? You see me all the time, and I'm saying to the chat family here, I'm like, hey, family, blah blah blah. Because I see you guys often as a extended family, just for gaming, right? I'll say, I remember I joked, I said, you are my gaming family. Somebody was like, oh, why can't I be your regular family? I'm like, get out of here.
Oh my goodness.
But you think of you guys as my brother from another or sister from another, right? But one of the things that caught me when what he was talking about, and he was, emotional on the VGA stage when he talked about it, is how he did this in honor of his father. And I thought that was really beautiful. I had never actually known my father as a bit to give you guys. I never actually knew him. My mother and grandmother and uncles raised me. And so shout out to my family and these strong, as they would say, strong Black women who raised me. And I mean that fully. But I understand the idea of loss, and I'm sure many of us do here. I know you do, Boom. I know, Jamie, you do as well. And my grandmother, who helped raise me, it's hard for me to even speak on it sometimes because, we lost her some years ago, and she was a big pillar.
Never gets easy, bro. When grandma goes, bro, the family breaks. That's exactly what happened to mine.
It does. And you'll be surprised. It seems like it happens to everybody. So I know it's not unique to me, but it's crazy just how that family, that matriarch in this case, kind of holds the family together. And once that she leaves or she passes, the family kind of falls out. And that did happen to us. I will be honest. So, but just to say what he spoke on, and he asked a question. He said, what would you sacrifice, or what would he sacrifice in this case to bring his father back? And that was to hear him, to touch him, that central thing is what led him to doing this with his studio, Surgent. He is the founder of it. So in Kanzara, the Tales of Kanzara game, the idea is what young shaman Zhao, in this case, goes to make a deal with the god of death, and in order to bring back his father. So that's the whole basis of it, and I think it's really dope in that sense. I mean, obviously, if you're religious, you're probably like, I don't know now, make a deal with the devil or something, you know what I mean? But I think it's beautiful in the sense that it's powerful, at least in the sense that it's
the power of loss, dude.
The power of loss, absolutely, and not wanting to let go. But it's also, I think, a lesson in learning to let go. And I'll share another thing. When my grandmother, when she passed, rest her soul, one of the things she had on her was her medical was DNR, do not resuscitate. We could not accept that. And when she was on her deathbed and they were, they told us what it was, and the cold blue went off in the hospital, I was strong up until that point, and I was like, no, we got it. It's her time, etc. But when I heard that cold blue go off, boom,
I know,
brother, nothing else but save her came out of my mouth. You know what I mean? Like resuscitate her. And to the doctors, I don't want to say credit because they disobeyed what she put on there, but they did that. They did try to resuscitate her, and it was agonizing.
Time, man.
It was agonizing. That's the best way I could put it. But so I think this speaks to that really, and is more so why I really support this brother here, and I really appreciate how he's using such loss to tell a beautiful story like this. So I'm really interested in it. I definitely will be getting into it. Now I have to put some games aside. It feels like every other game that comes out.
Yes, absolutely.
I had to look. I was on, what was it? The Fallout show pushed me off of Dragon's Dogma to go to Fallout 3 and all the other Fallout games. And then what you call it?
Who plays old games? How dare you?
I know, right? Don't tell Jim Ryan about that. But yeah, and then of course now No Rest for the Wicked pushed Fallout aside. So now this is about to be pushed aside for Tales of Kinzara. It's funny. So yeah, we are overburdened or over encumbered, should I say? We're over encumbered with great games to play. So cheers to that brother and to his studio, and I really can't wait to jump into it.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. And again, obviously, this is a great story to come off a bit of a downer story to open up with the rut in gaming, which was a big question mark. Jamie, let's talk about Tales of Kinzara. This game looks like an absolute gorgeous piece of art in every sense of the word. I haven't played it because I don't play on Steam. I just don't. I bought it. I'm gonna play it on Xbox. The minute this show is done, I'm heading over because hopefully it'll be ready for me to download. Are you excited for this? And do you feel any kind of like emotional connection just based on hearing where this amazing story has come from?
Yeah, I'll keep it brief because I don't really like talking about loss and all that stuff after past events. But the game looks good. I like these 2.5D Metroidvania games, and I feel like the past few years, like maybe starting with Ori and like a few other games, Prince of Persia recently, they're really popping off and they can be really fun. And I think, this game looks like they add some level of depth to it with the level up mechanics and stuff. I think when you have this type of game made with like a deep level of passion like that, a lot of love and care's gone into it, because let's face it, a lot of AAA games these days aren't that great when it comes to passion. You get buggy games all the time and stuff, but like this game looks really solid, and I'm surprised at how cheap it is. I think it's £16 in the UK.
It's so bargain priced that if you don't buy it, I may have to hit you with a ruler.
Yeah, it surprised me because
this game, for crying out loud,
Yeah, because Prince of Persia, I think that launched over here at £44. But like the game looks fantastic. I can't wait to play it, and I'll probably get to it this weekend. There's too many games at the minute. Going back to the whole rut thing, like we're having to make space for games that come out so often. So I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, that makes two of us. I am it makes all of us. Paris is, of course, in the chat, and he's saying that where did I just saw it? I highly recommend Tales of Kinzara Zao. It is well worth your time and a heartfelt story on grief. Yeah, it's like, I know. Listen, I don't care. I'm still always gonna be a man. If I cry on games and film and shows, if it's emotional, especially when it comes to like my pops, and there's any kind of correlation, I'm automatically breaking down. As much as I miss my mom, and of course, that breaks me down all the time. My pop was the greatest man I've ever met. And when you hear this story, and like I said, please go watch the 13-minute and 10-second story behind Tales of Kinzara Zao. It's deep, man. It's super, super deep. Looking forward to it. But I want to segue on to something that happened yesterday, gentlemen. Now, this did not make like, I don't think anyone else is going to talk about this, but I want to talk about it because of how passionate I am, and I think a lot of us are, with Halo, which you see on your screen. Now, yesterday, it was announced that there is going to be a Halo Infinite community live stream that is going to involve the not the
The
fallen,
Banished.
the Banished. Yes,
Yep.
thank you.
Mhm.
And I saw it, and my brain immediately was like, what? Are we getting single player? And I'm like, oh, it's not single player. And shout out to Halo Leaks, or at Halo underscore it's Halo Leaks on Twitter. It's at Leaks underscore Infinite. And they put out a tweet where they said the Banished themed operation is coming to Halo Infinite, called Banished Honor. What do you guys think about the new armor cosmetics? Yes, I'm buying $44 worth of coins as soon as this armor comes out, and I'm going to buy it because I love Halo Infinite. I'm sorry, they got me. This is the one game I
Yeah.
consistently spend, because if you've seen, like, you wait till you see the new one that's based on the Needler. Oh my God, it is so dope. I cannot wait to show it off. I started taking pictures, like, in different poses. Like, I gotta put this out there. But as excited as I am to continue playing Halo Infinite Umbra, this is one of those moments that kind of hurts a little bit, because Halo, for me, is always going to be Xbox. It is Master Chief, regardless of what story. Even if it's a non-Master Chief story, like, for instance, ODST with Buck, right? I want single-player Halo in a big way. Now, there's a rumor that was put out on Colt Eastwood's show a couple of months ago from Mag, where he came out and said there is potentially going to be something Halo-related at this year's, Microsoft event. I'm praying to the gaming gods that he's telling the truth, or that this comes to fruition, because we need something Halo single player. Like I said, I have so many days in Halo Infinite, it's egregious, but I continue to go back and play because I absolutely love it. Infinite Umbra, when you saw this, were you like me? Did you immediately equate this to, like, holy shit, I think we got some sort of Halo stuff coming up, and it's multiplayer. Devastated.
Bull. I was cheesing from ear to ear, man. I was like, oh, here we go. They fooled us. They had us in the first half, but they got us here. Here we go. DLC expansion. Then it was like, oh, we the Banished, and it showed the little armor. I was like, oh. I mean, listen, like you, I am a cosmetic thought. I've said this many times. The one factor of microtransactions that I am at fault for, and I can't, really complain too much about those who use it, is cosmetics. And because I like to look good while I'm out here, slaying people. Boom, you know how it is. But yeah, man, I was so, I don't want to say disappointed, but disheartened, I guess, is the best way to say it. I won't say disappointed, because they told us what it's going to be. We just don't want to believe them, I guess. But I was hoping against hope. Like, yeah, finally they got the message and are going to do what we want in giving us an expansion. I know I'm not alone. I know you're not. Me myself and you are not alone in that.
Nope.
Because I saw many of the same sentiment expressed on the actual official trailer for it, teaser, I guess, on YouTube. Everybody was saying the same thing, like, oh, I thought this was an expansion, oh, boo, whatever, So it is not. It's very clearly what the base wants, is what we all want. Let's just be clear.
Well, for years we've gotten both, I think really that's the problem. So, again, shout out to Tent. I think of his Teenit Gaming. He says, y'all have to stop expecting the single player stuff. They already said they've moved on. Don't put yourself through that. LOL. I had to just block that out of my brain. More single player Halo is coming, and he's not wrong. I suffer, folks, from, and I will admit it, I am an addict, or I'm suffering from hopium, because I'm always hoping that we can get some sort of freaking Halo stuff. I think there is. Look, Umbra, it is 1,000% egregious that we do not have Halo single player past Infinite. It's just, it doesn't even make any sense. It is what it is. hopefully what Certain Affinity has been working on all these years that exploded into this big thing turns out to be maybe something. Yes.
I don't even. I at this point, I don't even care if it's not micro. I almost said Micro Center. I don't care if it's not micro. Excuse me,
Master Chief.
focused.
Yep.
I would, just give me something that tells a narrative, a story, because as much as we love multiplayer, and we do, look at the days you've put in, look at the days I've put in. I haven't looked lately, but I know I had a ridiculous amount of days too. But as much as we love multiplayer, we really, really do. We love both, and I love both facets of Halo like dearly, and it seems a shame that we were kind of robbed with the story for Infinite. As much as I love Infinite story, which it was good, like legitimately good.
Yep.
Or maybe some might feel it was great. I think it was good. I thought it was hampered by telling but not showing. That's a crime. You have to show, don't just tell. And having those audio clips that we pick up and telling us the narrative along the way.
Yep. They intended to bring that to fruition. Unfortunately, leadership that thank goodness isn't there anymore kind of mucked it up, so to speak. With an M, not an F, folks. So we try not to curse on this show. So yeah, I mean that's why they're not there. But it's a shame that that happened.
It is, and yeah, all those things that add up to. Listen, I'm gonna give. By the way, I said this on Twitter. I'll say it here too. Shout out to the devs 343 because they still gave us a solid story and campaign, rather, even with being hampered by those higher ups, like being hampered by not getting help and getting things they needed to give us what we wanted. So shout out to them. That just shows, like we always talk about, they're competent, not competent enough. They're very competent. They just didn't have the support. So shout out to that, the correction of that narrative, and to Rebs Gaming who highlighted this. But yeah, it's sad, man, that we are denied that. And unless this is true about Creative Assembly, we might not be getting another campaign for some years. And that's just sad. It really, really is. Because it's so much to capitalize off of with Halo Infinite. Like the whole the addition of the grapple shot added so much more to me of that open world design. And to know we were denied not only biome changes and things like that, but the real full story.
There's the story behind Locke and his helmet being on one of the lieutenant's shoulder.
Yeah.
Where's Team Osiris? Where's the rest of? And you if you found all the tapes, I'm missing.
I got them all.
I think I'm missing like 7 of them. I'm so pissed. I got like 87% or something. It's one achievement, one of the few achievements that I don't have, and I flew around on that freaking thing forever trying to find them, and I just couldn't find them. But there's so much story there, and we're just never going to get that. It's a shame.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't want to draw on too much because I want to let Jamie get a chance to get his bars out on it too. But yeah, just to say I was disappointed. Now I will throw this last point on and I'll shut up. The armor that they do have for this event does look good.
It looks dope, dude. I'm not gonna front. I'm buying both of them.
It's the K Santi's credit. He said I'm a slave to the drip. He's absolutely correct. They got me. They caught me. It's the one time I'm not gonna say give us free. You got me caught up, Halo, with the microtransactions.
I will buy them all. I am not even embarrassed to say it. Jamie, let's get your hot take on this, because obviously, look, there's when there's going to be like the Yappening 2 is the current event, right? We if you're a Halo guy or gal like me, you see it, you play it, you get all the 20 levels, you enjoy it, you have some fun. You play with your friends, you play with randos. However, maybe you buy some armor, maybe you don't. But yesterday, when the Banished little trailer, I'm sorry, it maybe because I'm a big old nerd, I was like, oh my god, did they just surprise us with some single player DLC? And I'm like, devastated. Okay, so I'm and after being devastated, I was like, okay, I got to get $44 worth of coins because I'm buying both of these. Jamie, what were your thoughts yesterday when this dropped?
Well, I talk about Mass Effect every day.
Yeah,
I
know
love
you
that
do.
franchise. But I also love Halo almost just as much, maybe just as much, but I don't talk about it as much because I'm a campaign guy. I don't play multiplayer anymore. I took 10 years off from playing multiplayer, so now my KD in Call of Duty is so bad. It's embarrassing. Anyway, so I watched that trailer and I'm thinking, is this single player DLC? And as the trailer's going along, I was thinking, this is what I want. This is exactly what I need. More single player content, because if you only play the campaign, I've had no new content for years now. So as the trailer was going on, I was like, oh, it's an armor thing for multiplayer. That kind of reminded me how I saw this really amazing Star Trek game trailer a few months ago, and I was like, this looks amazing. Is it coming to console? And it was a CGI trailer for a mobile game. So it was like excitement and then a kick in the nuts. So like this, like I need more. Like Halo is bigger than multiplayer, and the thing is, I think Infinite Multiplayer, they can keep making this for years and years and years. It's free to play. It can be its own thing. I've said this before. I don't think the next Halo game even needs to ship with multiplayer. Like expand on Infinite, but I need more campaign. I just do. More single player content. Halo is such a huge franchise that they don't need to do just one story game every 5 years. Like we've had RTS games in the past. Hell, there's a TV show, although I haven't seen it yet. You know, Halo's a bigger IP than just the one game. I don't need to play it as Master Chief. I just want more. And I think it's a shame that, like, I do think I think the team's called Certain Affinity. I think they are making Halo content. They have said they are making an Xbox game with an established Xbox IP. So that I'm thinking that's Halo, but I don't want to go 5 years in between playing single player Halo content. And it's a shame because Halo has such an interesting story, and as someone that loves sci-fi, like Halo is very unique in the gaming space. And like I love Master Chief. Master Chief is one of my favorite game characters of all time, but Halo can be more. We've had ODST in the past. We've had Halo Reach. Like we can have more, and I think that maybe this summer we'll get that. But I tell you, man, as a Halo campaign fan, it's been a dry few years because leadership didn't do what we thought they were going to do. We thought we were going to get single player expansions. We never got them. But multiplayer, people bloody love now. It's in a great space. And I don't know. I think like seeing that trailer just got me excited for Halo again. And then I realized it was multiplayer. So.
Yeah. You know, and to go to your point there, like you said, is I love Master Chief as well. But that story, that lore, boom, that was a nasty stick you just got that guy with. That story, that lore is so rich. It's a shame. It's almost criminal that they're not exploring more when it comes to the universe for Halo. It really is. I mean, think about the possibilities. We talked about this before him, boom, like on what could we do with Halo? Like, for instance, what was the floated theory of the not theory, but the thought of having a survival one where you're playing as an ODST trying to escape from the flood or something like that or whatever. Imagine even going beyond that where you could play as the Sengeli, like as going back to Arby, right? Playing as Arby and his chieftains under him or something like that.
There is so much story. What about Zeta Halo and where they made the flood?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
it's so many ways
I was
to go about
expecting
it.
like almost like a survival horror aspect to return to Halo Infinite with the flood. Like what happened?
It seems, I don't know. I really don't. And the only thing I can say is, again, I don't blame the devs because our eyes were open really to me. I think the more we paid attention, the more we were like, okay, it's the higher ups. Is whatever they did, it didn't work out. And, I don't know what all caused what. And we never probably never will. But I don't believe it was the devs. I think 343 is capable. But I think that caused a lot of issues where they just couldn't get things out the way they wanted to. Honestly, and it seems like it's caused this kind of negative ripple effect where it's going to be kind of holding back that storytelling we want, you know what I mean, to give us more of what we're looking for, unfortunately. But I think if this is true, like you said, what we heard rumored about Creative Assembly or am I using it right? Is it Creative Assembly?
Certain Affinity.
Certain Affinity. Thank you. I'm like, this not certain. It's not Creative. It's Certain Affinity. Thank you. If that is true with Certain Affinity, that they are working on a spin-off game, then I'm all for it 100%. Apparently also it's supposed to be an Unreal, so they got my blessing already.
Yeah, Unreal Engine 5, yes.
That's
yes.
right. And by the way, Tales of Kanzara is Unreal Engine 4. Shout out to Epic for such a great engine. Anyway, yeah, so I would hope that is true. I really do hope it. I don't know if there's any other game I'm thinking of for this summer show that I'm like, man, I need to see that outside of Perfect Dark or something like that. I want to see something with Halo and story based, not just multiplayer. Give me something story based.
100%. Look, real quick, let's catch up on super chats. We have the VR situation story that broke yesterday to get into. Obviously, that was on the thumbnail, so we're going to get to that. JJ saying 117 drops a very generous $2 super chat and actually asks a question. I do want to bring this up. He says, "Hi, Boom. Will you be talking about the Embracer situation today?" We actually are. We're going to talk about VR next, and we'll talk about Embracer, why the three companies are very suspicious. I say that to say, if you look at the one with, what was it called? It was called Middle Earth and Friends, I think it was. I got to pull the story. I got to look for it. Those are the three studios that I think Xbox should definitely buy. So maybe they go out and they purchase them after they're done with the whole FTC stuff, which I think is pretty much dead on the water. I do want to give a shout out, actually, a couple of things before we get into the VR topic. First and foremost, Hargeet Chani is in the chat. Hargeet is on many podcasts. He is a ridiculously amazing member of this community. Well, folks, guess what? He wrote a book. Now, Hargeet, I have to go drop the link in Discord for me once again. He wrote a book. We want to support him on his journey to sell the book. So I'm going to drop that link in here. So if you're interested in checking out Hargeet's book, I will go to, once we start talking about the next topic, I'll go to my Discord, I'll copy and paste the link, and I'll drop it in. But Mrs. Boom and I was just talking to her via text. That's why, if you saw my eyes moving, she was listening to the show, and we want to do something that's unexpected. It's something we can afford to do, because obviously we're all about giving back to the community. So what we're going to do to support Abubakar Salim is, right now, live on the air, folks, we're giving away 10 copies. That's right, 10 copies of Tales of Kanzara Zao. And that we're going to open that up to everybody. If you are outside of the Americas and I can't send you the code for it, I'll send you the $20 so you can go buy the game. So I'm going to drop the hashtag that you have to put in there right now. And again, she's the money lady. She's like, yeah, let's give away 10 copies. If she says so, then it is. So I'm dropping that here. It's hashtag Tales of Kanzara Zao XFP. It's going in the chat right now. Retweet that. We're giving away 10 copies live on the air. I'm going to draw them one after another once we get done with the VR to let everyone come. We have 636 live viewers here. We have 167 on X or Twitter, and almost 500 live on obviously YouTube. So a big thank you to nearly 700 people that are already here. That is freaking amazing. So again, listen, we're small, we're mom and pop, but we can give as much as we can give. And right now we're giving away 10 copies. So to support Abubakar Salim and his vision and his beautiful story that he's telling, we're giving away 10 copies. I'll draw all 10 in a row after we get done with the VR story.
Boom. By the way, I shared the link for Hargeet's
thank you.
Book
Yes.
I'll post it again.
Please.
After
yeah, I want to support him as well. Yeah, he wrote a book, folks. He wrote a book. That is freaking awesome. So let's get him some support, get him to sell some of his book. Sith Lord drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, shout out to Boom for entertaining me 5 times a week. Brother, listen, you don't understand how blessed I feel to be able to do this. Like, I'm so honored to be behind the mic every day of the week that you don't understand what you folks do for me. As much as you feel I do for you, it's right back at me. I get a chance to talk about gaming 5 days a week. It's freaking crazy. I absolutely love it. So again, Tales of Kanzara, Zao XFP hashtag. Put that in there. I'm gonna drop it in there one more time. You can copy and paste it. And of course, we are going to give away live on the air, folks, 10 copies to, of course, well, support the devs as we should be doing. But let me close out this. Okay, so I got the giveaway tool there. Let me bring up the next topic. I have to find it. Sorry, folks. I'm a little bit at a loss here because I'm, obviously I had to make the announcement we're giving away 10 copies. So here we go. Let's talk about the VR situation. Let me find it. Where are you? Okay, so here it is. I got the story in front of me. This was posted yesterday by Windows Central. It was written by Sean Endicott, or Endicott, I believe that's how it says. And the lead story is, want to buy an Xbox VR headset? ? You'll be able to get one soon. Well, sort of. Now, he goes on to say Microsoft will be one of the first companies to help create a device running the new program known as Meta Horizon OS. Now, in the What You Need to Know section, which of course we're going to use for this conversation, Meta just announced that their operating system that powers its popular virtual reality headsets will be available to other manufacturers. Microsoft, Asus, and Lenovo are among the manufacturers that will produce device running the Meta Horizon OS. It also goes on to say that Meta and Microsoft will be working together to create a limited edition Meta Quest that's inspired by Xbox. And you know what? I am freaking buying that, even though I have a Meta Quest 3 that I use 3 days a week to exercise. I will be buying that. I don't even care. The last part of What You Need to Know, it goes on to say this, ladies and gentlemen. Microsoft and Meta already partnered together to get Xbox xCloud Gaming to work on Meta Quest, allowing Game Pass subscribers to stream games to the VR headset. Now, I have the beta downloaded. I'm going to be honest with you, as a shameful host, I have not used it as of yet. I only use my Meta Quest 3 for working out. I'm trying to make sure that I'm looking proper and in shape for all the pictures I intend to take in June. So I want to make sure I'm in good shape. Let's talk about this because, again, it's not technically the VR that Phil Spencer was promised to all its fans all those years ago, but it is a collaboration, and we don't know where it could go. They are working together. There is going to be an Xbox-inspired version of the Meta Quest 3. Like I said, I'm there day one. Let's get your hot takes on this.
Oh,
Well,
you didn't. I didn't. I was going to say, did you call for me or for?
Yeah,
James?
call for you, Umbra. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah,
my bad. Well, see, now this is going to sound pessimistic because I'm not a fan of VR at all.
I know.
Yeah, so I'm going to keep it kind of succinct. I'll say this: I do not care for VR. It does nothing for me. But for those who do enjoy it, I think if you're an Xbox fan, this is definitely seems at least exciting. For me, when I heard it, even I was like, oh, it kind of piqued my interest. However, what stopped my interest was that fact that it was just a branded thing. It's not like it's an official VR thing for Xbox. So any excitement that I may have tried to have was like quickly diminished right after I saw that detail. So but to those who are a fan of VR and you want something to kind of call back to the Xbox in general because you're a fan of Xbox branding, whatever it is, then maybe this is really right for you. That's my personal takeaway from it. Again, it's just not for me, so I don't really have much more to offer on a subject, I suppose, honestly. But I'll just say that maybe going forward, maybe that might be something Microsoft might want to look into of adding as far as it goes to that support for VR. Maybe the next one will have it. I'm going to guess, especially if we're hearing what we're hearing about, the whole idea of the expanded style of console they're going to have, at least with the SKUs that they're going to bring allegedly, and having access to Steam and all that. Then it probably would behoove them. And yes, I do mean it exactly as you all took it. It probably would behoove them to have access to a VR. So maybe they'll actually get into it at that point. So yeah, if you guys are into VR and you like Microsoft enough, maybe this is right for you.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Like for instance, Dark Zone's 2525 in the chat, who's here all the time. So Dark Zone, welcome as always. He said that we have talked about the failings of VR. What makes this so special? Well, like I explained to him in the chat earlier, the PlayStation VR 2.0 is a straight up failure. It's a failure because PlayStation has abandoned it. They closed the studio that actually made VR games, and they stopped production because they're sitting on shelves. So, like many times before it, Sony has killed their own product. Not even out of, what is it? Is it even a year yet that it's out? So technically that's dead. Is anyone from PC going to actually have to going to invest in it? Well, we'll see. Because from what it was explained to me, with Kay Asante is in the chat, he said in order to use the actual headset on your PC, you need a PlayStation 5 in order to sync it. Again, he's a tech guy. If that in fact is the case, then what's the point? If you didn't buy it with you and you had a PS5, you're not going to buy it to play to hook it up to your PS5 then to play it on your PC. It's just dumb. So it's a dead device. This just allows another location for you to play your games. Now, one of the things that I think Microsoft is working towards is the fact that they want you to be able to not only play Xbox Game Pass everywhere, they're going to want you to, and we've been asking for this, to be able to play your games that you have purchased. So your ownable games, meaning that all of the games that you have paid for that are on your account, you're going to be able to play those everywhere. This is just another place to play it. You're playing it on your PC, you're playing it on your handheld, you're playing it on your TV, and of course, the most important place for me is the console. But you're also going to be able to play these games in VR. Now, are they going to be traditional VR? Well, I don't think so, but I think it is going to be like you put it on, your headset on, and you're playing in this big theater and this monster screen is in front of you. That is kind of dope. But it's just an addition, not a feature. And I think that is pretty dope. And like I said, I'm in for having more places to play. Jamie, let's talk about this, man. Again, maybe not the biggest story of the world, and obviously, gaming news isn't as prevalent as it's been, where it's going to be in May with the release of Hellblade 2, and of course in June with the big showcase. But VR, Xbox Game Pass in beta coming to VR is a big thing, but also having a branded Xbox says that maybe there might be something more to this.
Well, when it comes to VR, I mean, like Umbra said, I'm not interested. The thing, but I still know a lot about it. Unfortunately, when it comes to VR, for me, it's the kind of situation where if I put a headset on, I need a bucket next to me. So I'm kind of out of that. But Oculus, and I'm going to keep calling them Oculus, they've been partnered with Xbox for years now. They put the Xbox controller bundled with the headset, I think, like 7 years ago or something. It was a big deal then for the Oculus platform and now MetaQuest. And I think the gaming-centric folk will lean towards the Xbox version of this headset. It's not going to be for Xbox gamers. We live in an age where Xbox is beyond the console. You have Xbox consoles. There's the Xbox app on PC. There's Xbox streaming on devices. So it's like, if people think this is going to be an Xbox headset for the Xbox, it's not that. I've seen a lot of that floating about for the past 24 hours. But it just goes to show that Microsoft, they are continuing to branch out and, let other companies do what they want, kind of with the Xbox branding. And I think it's interesting, VR is in a weird space at the minute because it's this weird, it's like endless cycle where people aren't buying VR headsets for gaming because there's no AAA content, and there's no AAA content coming to VR headsets because there's not enough VR headsets out there. So it's like this endless loop. And like PlayStation, like their headset is super advanced, it's really cool. But the problem is
good tech.
it's cool tech. The content isn't there though. Nobody's coming out with like this brand new like AAA release for this headset. And like everything I see on VR headsets, the all first person shooters or all these games where, hey, you can balance this cube on a different cube, a different size. And it's like, that's cool and all. The all VR to me at the minute, outside of 2 games I've seen, are all tech demos. Like very cool things. But I think that until we get to the point where it is like Ready Player One, which is years away, I don't think there's much interest in it. Like PlayStation, they shut down studios, they cancelled games, and like, what is the push for VR? I've seen 2 games on VR that look cool, and that's Medal of Honor by Respawn and Half-Life Alyx. But outside of that, nothing else looks really that good. And until something changes, I don't know if there's going to be much of an interest. Like Microsoft promised back in the day, hey, the Xbox, Scorpio was going to have high fidelity VR, and then that never happened. And then a chunk of the fan base revolted and said, hey, we were lied to and that. But the truth is, there's no VR content out there worth talking about. You do have these ports like Resident Evil 4, and I think San Andreas is coming to VR at some point, or it might already be there. But like outside of these offshoot VR versions of games, nobody's talking about VR. The PlayStation VR costs more than the console. So it's like, yeah, that's a big ask for people. But at least if you got an Oculus and you can do wireless gameplay, that's cool. But until something changes in the VR space, I don't really think it's much of an interesting topic. Will it be cool to see an Xbox branded Oculus Quest? Yeah. Will I use one? No. I don't like my innards coming out. But like
that's great. I love it.
If one day it gets to a point where we use a Neuralink to like save like images instead of using like, the problem is the headset. The headset's uncomfortable. Your eyeballs boil. They need to put a little fan on top so your face doesn't melt, and you want to throw up. But I don't think VR is interested at the minute because the content isn't there.
I mean, listen, a lot of the VR games are very, they're very few. There's the Asgard game that came with my Oculus Quest, something 2. Kaosan said it's absolutely amazing. I have yet to play it. I literally have been using my headset for getting in shape. I use it 3 days a week. I take a boxing course with a trainer. It's freaking amazing. Absolutely amazing. I've already lost 12 pounds. And I've been a gym guy for years. What's that?
That's dope. So that's dope that you did it. Yeah.
I'll put it to this way. I've always been a gym guy until I had the spinal cord injury, and weights I can't do the weights. I have a lot of stuff holding me together. So I had to use all core related stuff. No weight training at all. And I needed to find something that would challenge me but not hurt my spine, because obviously I'm put together with a lot of hardware. And Supernatural Fitness,
bionic man.
Yeah, well, I wish I could run fast. I run slower, I think, with all this hardware holding me back. I look like Wolverine, but I don't have healing factor.
What do you need, bub? But one thing I would say to that is, for me, I think it's 2 things. It's probably a reason why, probably subconsciously, like I feel like VR isn't for me. I don't think I want to like have this goofy headset on my head and I'm moving around like an idiot in an open space, like and moving around and swinging at the air. Somebody walks up and just, I don't know, robs me. I'm in Chicago, keep in mind. I don't know. I feel like somebody would just rob me. I don't know. Like, oh, you're enjoying VR. Well, let me take your nice 65-inch TV as you do this. I don't know. I can't explain why I feel this way. But anyway, also too, I would say that for me to really, really get into it, I feel like I'd have to be in it. I said this before, and I don't mean this facetiously, but I feel like it'd have to be something where it's Ready Player One level. Like I'm gonna have to put that thing on like I'm getting into the Matrix for me to get into VR. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't just be, oh, put a little headset on. I would have to like put that thing on and be like, whoa, I know Kung Fu level types. You know what I'm trying to say? I want something that's going to change my life when I put that thing on for me to wear that apparatus. I don't know how else to explain it.
I mean, no, it's look. It's some people can't take it, and I'm waiting for the day where we have a holodeck situation, like in Star Trek. If you're a Trek fan, the holodeck was dope. Obviously, Ready Player One even doper because it's just dope. Sorry, but I mean, look, VR is not for everybody. Having the headset on me, I had to actually get used to it, which is why I work out with a fan blowing, because you get thing is on your face, you get hot. So I never had an issue with like claustrophobia, thank goodness. But I have a fan blowing on me so I can get air in my face, because this thing is covering you, and you are moving. You are like you're I don't know about you folks, but I work out, I'm dripping sweat. But this is again, I just think that when you overall look at what Microsoft is doing to allow for their gamers who obviously are their customers, take your games that you own that are a part of your service and allow you to play anywhere that your heart's content. I think that here is the real story, at least in my opinion. Allegedly, as they say.
Yeah.
Listen,
But I would just say though, the thing is like the technology is going to steadily improve. Like where we're at now is, I mean, if you put that on somebody's head back in the hell, I would say the 80s even. Excuse me, even the 80s, they thank you. They probably accuse you of witchcraft. So we're you know what I mean? Like we're far up there. So I imagine within the next probably few decade or so, we'll probably have something closer to what I'm talking about, actually. So I'm excited for the tech. It's just that right now I don't think it's at a place where I would want it to be. And the games, like Jamie was pointing out, is not exactly to the level I would want it to be. A lot
of them are shovelware. They are. Some of them are just, you're like, this is a cash grab. This is not good. Now there are some like tip of the spear exceptions. The Half-Life Alex is definitely great example of that. But
yeah,
look, before we move on to the last topic, we're going to talk about Embracer Group and what this actually means. I got to find the story. I got to go looking for it, because again, they broke up into three different companies, one of which I believe is called Middle Earth and Friends, and it has Crystal Dynamics, it had Eidos Montreal, and there's one other one. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like an Xbox game studio, developer. Let's get them in house. I kind of wonder if we're going to see anything, but I want to announce the 10 winners. Now, obviously, you can reach out to me through DM on Twitter. You can message me on Xbox Live. Drop a message in. I got to do some vetting to make sure you are the person, because thankfully we haven't anyone scam us yet. But I obviously want to make sure that we're not giving away a free prize to someone that just, hey, I'm Johnny Smith, and you're like, oh, sure, Johnny, here's your prize, and I get duped. That would suck. So don't do that. Or you can go to the YouTube channel. The business email is there, and just email me. So here are the 10 winners, folks. And again, this was a shoot from the hip kind of a contest. But again, we're a small mom and pop organization here at Double Barrel Gaming, and I think that it's pretty cool for anyone and everyone to support Abubakar Salim. And these are the 10 winners. Kaya Walker, Leonard Herrera, Def Leopard, Dusty, Big Mad Mo, Abnormal Status, Sunday Hans, Lieutenant Hulk, Samer Fan, and Sith Lord. You are all winners, the 10 winners of today's Shoot from the Hip contest for the Tales of Kanzara, a Zao game that just released. And of course, I will send it to whoever. If you're outside of the Americas, I'll send you the $20 for the game. Now, hopefully you buy the game with $20, but I'll send it via PayPal. That's the only way we ship money to other parts of the world. So let me read it again, just for you. And of course, we'll make sure through the rest of the week that everyone gets their prizes one way or another. That is Kale Walker, Leonard Herrera, Def Leopard, Dusty, Big Mad Mo, Abnormal Status, Sandy Hans, Lieutenant Hulk, Sith Lord, and Samer Fan. You all won a copy to your platform of choice of Tales of Kanzara. And congratulations to everybody. And shout out to Mrs. Boom, who obviously is always quick when it comes to these contests. And we added an Easter one last week where we gave away last month, where we gave away $300. I was originally going to do $100, and she's like, no, let's do 3. So she's the money lady. She knows. She does all the finances. So again, congratulations on that. And let me continue because I'm doing timestamps as we do this live, folks. So here we go. Let's talk about Embracer Group, Infinite Umbra. This is a company. That is seeing significant troubles in recent months. They've had a significant amount of studio closures, lots of layoffs. They announced the other day that they have split into 3 different companies. And one subset of the companies, which again, I have to go find the story while you break it down, seems like what's the purpose of this? What is the purpose of Embracer breaking up to 3 different groups? Are they potentially going to sell one of those groups off? We're going to get into that, but what are your thoughts, man?
Well, it's weird in the way how they're structuring it. Slightly. I know that it's kind of confusing a bit because they have this whole one section for double A and the other for indies, right? Or double A and indies, I suppose, and the other for triple A. Then they have one sectioned off. What was another one? I can't remember which one it was. It's like 3 different ones. So it's unique. I would say this. I hope it's not going to affect some of the major releases we still want to play, as far as these folks from obviously and their well-being as far as being employed. But you have certain games that they are making, such as the remake of or it's a remake. Yeah, it's the remake of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Now it's in the hands of Saber.
Yep.
So Saber is in it, part of that AAA part of the division, if you will, what they're doing. So you hope that's not also delayed or messed up because of that. It's already switched hands already, being from who they were with, who probably shouldn't have never have been with to begin with, but now it's in Saber's hand. And I trust Saber because Saber is actually pretty talented. But also they're making, I'm pretty sure they're the last stages of it. Warhammer, Space Marine 2. So you don't want any of those types of games affected in future games that they could possibly put out. To me, I would say, and I don't want to be a downer about it, but it feels consistently every time I hear something new about Embracer, it feels literally like they're on their deathbed, like they're right in it. They're on a death nail, right? They're just staving off the inevitable. That's what it feels like to me. And in that regard, and it might not be cool to say for some, but I still kind of wish, and hope that Microsoft is there to pick up some of those scraps. And what I mean by scraps are, of course, the Crystal Dynamics and the Eidos or whatever, so that we
Eidos Montreal. Yes,
absolutely.
As a matter of fact, you know what? While if you don't mind, let me jump in to kind of give some context to what you're saying, because I have a story that I pulled from The Verge. So just for some clarification, exactly what happened. Swedish gaming conglomerate Embracer Group announced plans on Monday to split itself into 3 distinct games and entertainment companies. And I'll break it down as to who is where. So the 3 new companies will be broken down as follows. And again, let me just give the credit where credit is due. This was written by Jess Witherbed of TheVerge.com. And the 3 breakdowns go like this, Umbra. Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends. This company, which will be renamed from Embracer Group, is described as a creative powerhouse in AAA game development and publishing that will retain ownership of the Dead Island, Killing Floor, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Tomb Raider, and Lord of the Rings IPs. Now, the Asmodee Group, a new arm dedicated to publishing and distributing tabletop games, the existing catalog that includes established titles like Ticket to Ride, Seven Wonders, Azul, Catan, Dobel, and Exploding Kittens. I didn't even heard about that. Asmodee is also developing licensed tabletop games based on The Lord of the Rings, Marvel, Game of Thrones, the Star Wars franchises. Embracer anticipates the spin-off and share listings will take place within 12 months. And this one is a little bit of a weird one, but it's an interesting name. You can't forget it. The third new company, Coffee Stain and Friends, described as a diverse gaming entity that will focus on indie, mid-market, and free-to-play games. Properties sitting under the new company include Deep Rock Galactic, Goat Simulator, Satisfactory, Wreckfest, Teardown, and Valheim. The share listings are projected to become available in 2025. Now, in the statement here regarding why this happened, this move has been made with the intention to unleash the full potential of each team and provide them with their own leadership and strategic direction. This is the start of a new chapter, a chapter that I intend to remain part of as an active, committed, and supportive shareholder. All three new entities within an evergreen horizon. End quote.
That actually shed some light, and I believe, I'm not sure who said it, but somebody did point out that Saber did split. That's right, Saber is no longer with them,
right?
So they're independent now. They're still working on the Knights of the Old Republic and the Space Marines too, though, but they're no longer a part of them. So it's interesting seeing the I don't understand the namings for some of these, the Asmodee and the Coffee Stain and Friends. I'm even confused on the Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends, although I get it. We know what Middle Earth means, but why is that the division? Like, that seems very specific. Does Embracer own the rights to Middle Earth or
They
Lord
do.
of the Rings?
They purchased them. Yes, they absolutely own the
is.
video game rights for Lord of the Rings. Indeed.
Okay, so that would explain it then. So yeah, that would be home to Crystal Dynamics and Eidos right there, Eidos Montreal. So it's interesting to see how they'll do it. They did, by the way, this division houses 4A games and all that. So they very capable studios, and they have Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is coming, part 2 of that coming soon. Also, of course, Dead Island 2, which I loved, by the way, came out.
Dude, that could have been my game of the year. It was
that damn good. I agree.
Phenomenal.
I loved it. Metro, of course, all those things, Tomb Raider. So, in Lord of the Rings, like you guys mentioned. So, yeah, it's interesting how they break it up. I don't know how this is gonna work out. I mean, it's kudos to them for getting their thing structured, but I'm still very on the fence when it comes to Embracer. It seems like, again, like it's just like they're kind of delaying the inevitable to me. So we'll see. Hopefully, it does work out for them.
I mean, one of the things, look, nobody wants to see anybody go out of business. Nobody wants to see anybody fail, right? Embracer spent a lot of money. Why they got into this trouble, Jamie Moran, was the fact that we had learned that there was a handshake deal about a year ago that went south. That was going to be a massive $1 billion or billions of dollar investment into their company. That fell through, and unfortunately they got in trouble with how much money they were spending. Remember, they bought a lot of studios. They bought a lot. I mean, when you buy these studios, you're buying loads and loads of talent. These people need insurance. They need to be paid. There's a lot of undertaking when you buy studios. Just look at what's going on with Microsoft. They're trying to integrate right now Activision Blizzard King, and I'm sure that there's a lot of struggles there that we don't know about because, well, we're not on the board. The Middle Earth and Friends one, which and I'm trying to get how many studios. I believe it's a couple. I know for a fact, without a doubt, it's Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal. There is a third studio. I'm trying to find who posted it. That I think that if they got, and I'm kind of in agreement with Umbra here. I don't see Embracer going away, at least today, maybe tomorrow. But I think that if these three groups don't start making some money for the shareholders, again, this is just my opinion. Maybe there is some more forethought that needs to go into this, why they broke it up into three. Because if you look how, they're specifically broken up, tabletop games and card games and video games and indie stuff, it almost seems as if they broke them up to specifically sell to somebody or a potential suitor that is looking for these specific things, right? Like Magic the Gathering, Wizards of the Coast would be a great suitor and a potential acquisition for the card division, right? That makes sense. Wizards of the Coast is one of the biggest card makers. They make Magic the Gathering and a whole bunch of others. Microsoft, well, obviously would love to own the Tomb Raider IP. They'd love to own Crystal Dynamics, who is working on one of their first-party games, right along with Eidos Montreal, who is working on Fable. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, this is a topic I've actually been following closely for the past year and a half. Like Embracer tend to make a lot of games I do like. So like I've kept a keen eye on this, and it's a mess. It's a mess. As soon as that Saudi deal fell through, because remember last year, all we heard in the gaming news was, hey, Microsoft monopolies this, and nobody was actually paying attention to Embracer, where they had like 128 studios. Like they had more studios than Microsoft, Sony, EA, Nintendo combined, but nobody was talking about monopolies back then. And they were relying on this Saudi deal to come through, and it didn't. And they had way too much overhead. And the problem with a lot of Embracer games is, and their business model's messed up. They not like, Microsoft or Sony, where they have these like big games that generate money. They just don't. Like, they don't even advertise their games. Their publishing houses are all mixed up. You have THQ Nordic, which does one bunch of games. You have Deep Silver that does a different bunch of games. And I think there's like 3 other publishing arms. And there's no cohesion between any of them. If you go to any THQ Nordic stream, it's a bunch of people asking for when's the new Metro game coming out. Well, they wouldn't be on that, that channel. And like the problem is that they ballooned too much in size. They thought they were going to get that money, and they start laying off people left and right. Then they splitting the division up into 3 different, they're splitting Embracer up into 3 different divisions. And it could be to sell some off, but just the naming's weird. It's like, did they just put a bunch of random words on a dartboard and go blindfolded? It's weird because it kind of takes me back to about 2012 when we had the real THQ, and they were spending way too much money on marketing. They weren't putting out games that weren't generating any money. They put out a huge War tablet, which almost tanked the entire company, and it eventually did. And did no more. And the Swedish company bought up the THQ name and a bunch of IP and stuff, and they're just making the same mistakes. Like every single year, THQ games come out, THQ Nordic games come out. They don't get marketing. Right, they've put out 2 brand new games this year. Nobody's talking about them.
Yeah,
they didn't market them. Outcast: A New Beginning and Alone in the Dark has had 0 marketing in the United Kingdom. 0.
Yeah,
Nobody knows
it's funny. I knew about one of the games. I didn't even know about the other one. Is that crazy?
Well, it's not crazy because they're not marketing. Like I'm the only person online that's talking about them because nobody knows about it. And it's sad because they have a bunch of really cool studios making really interesting IP. They focus on single player content, and it doesn't get pushed. And unlike other publishers, they don't have a single game or multiple games that get microtransactions every year. So like I can't imagine how they even sustaining right now. And splitting them off into 3 different divisions is just a weird move because companies do this all the time. But to me, it seems like they're wanting to sell off studios. Like even though they've closed multiple studios already, Saber Interactive bought themselves out. there's still way too much overhead. They're putting out games every year and don't market them. Like you said, you didn't know Outcast was out. Nobody knew Outcast was out other than me because I'm a sci-fi nerd. And I think this is going to be a downward spiral for Embracer because of how many studios they have.
Yep.
I think they will sell off a bunch of studios, like Coffee Stain and Friends, and like was it Middle Earth and Friends? Like, they bought the Lord of the Rings IP. Why? Like, they were making all these moves because they thought they were going to have infinite Saudi money, basically.
That's what, and that's what hurt them. Listen, you know what? To add some more context to this, I was able to find it thanks to Hazardor Gaming, which is an amazing career. I would say he's even a content creator because he puts out so much incredible information that many podcasters like myself who follow him use. This was originally, he retweeted it. It was originally posted by Wario64, and everybody knows who Wario is. You should be following both Hazardor Gaming and Wario if you like hot take gaming information, because they consistently are out here in these Twitter streets putting out some really good stuff. Now, Umbra and of course Jamie, listen to this, because I'm salivating right now as someone like Umbra. We're greedy, right? We're greedy gamers. We want it all. We want Microsoft to own it all because, well, we're greedy, right? Listen to who is a part. Listen to the studios and the IPs that are a part of Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends. Bonkers stuff, folks. Crystal Dynamics, Dam Buster Studios, Eidos Montreal, Flying Wild Hog Studios, Tripwire Games, Vertigo Games, Warhorse Studios, and the IPs that are included in this newly formed division of Embracer are Dead Island, Killing Floor, Kingdom Come Deliverance, The Lord of the Rings, Metro, and Tomb Raider, among others.
Also, too, Boom, they have Dark Horse, the Dark Horse comics, so they can make
they do.
more out of that too.
It says here the group also includes
like that. Yep.
Yes. So I'm gonna be honest with you. This is one of those things that if Microsoft, look, they're gonna buy something else, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not front. They are going to buy something else. That is why they're positioning their games here, there, and everywhere, right? So they can tell regulators, hey, listen, we buy these studios, their games are going to stay multi-plat. It's perfectly okay. This is why they're doing that. If they were to pick up this division, woo, talk about wow. Jamie, I'd like to hear your comment, and we'll come back to Umbra on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they'll pick up an entire division, but like my prediction for like 2 years now is that they'll buy Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics.
They make sense because they're working on first-party games.
Yeah, they're working on Fable and Perfect Dark, but like they make the most sense for Microsoft because they clearly want more studios that would make third-person action adventure games. They clearly want more RPGs, and that's Eidos Montreal right there. And plus, I think Microsoft would actually let Deus Ex finally happen instead of canceling it like Eidos, like Embracer. Yeah, for some reason, I think that Microsoft would also pick up the studio that makes Valheim. That kind of suits what Microsoft wants. But all these moves Embracer's making right now just screams to me that they want to be bought out. Because as far as I know, Embracer started buying all those studios years ago because of a very rich Swedish man that was into video games. And if you have basically unlimited money at the time and you continue to gobble up studios, and then all of a sudden you have this, maybe get multiple billions of dollars from this Saudi company. I can't remember the name of the company, but it just screams to me that this is a downward spiral, and it's just them trying to sell off these individually. I think would make more sense from being separate divisions, because it looks like they're all going to have different NASDAQ holdings. So I think it's going to happen eventually. I think Microsoft will buy a few. I think Ubisoft. I think this time, 5 years from now, Embracer won't really be much of a thing publishing games.
It's certainly possible. Real quick, I got to stop the presses here because obviously I got 3 screens open. Wow. Staccato in the chat, folks, has dropped a $100 super chat. Dude, that is just crazy. Thank you for the outstanding generosity. And of course, like we did today, that is going to be used for big giveaways. We have 4 of them coming from September to December in the amount of $3,500, not counting what else we're going to continue to do up until we're going to do something in June for the Xbox community, specifically to celebrate the showcase. I don't know if we're going to do it there because I'm going to be in LA, so it's going to be hard for me. I'm not going to be doing any podcasting from that Thursday to that Monday when I come back, because I'm obviously going to be traveling. I think that first Tuesday back is going to be the Xbox Factor podcast. We're going to do some sort of a big giveaway for the Xbox community. We have not made that. This is fresh off the presses. We haven't made that announcement yet. Look forward to that. When Mrs. Boom and I put that together, we'll make an announcement. I don't know how much it's going to be for, but it's going to be specifically for the Xbox Factor podcast, celebrating what is expected to be one of the biggest showcases for Xbox in their history. And again, it's just to celebrate with you guys and gals. We're going to do a big giveaway. I don't know how much that's going to be. I gotta let Mrs. Boom do the finances, and we'll see. But that's going to be coming that Tuesday, the first Tuesday after the showcase, to celebrate, well, what hopefully is one of the best showcases we've ever seen. So, Ducato, brother, that is crazy generous of you. Thank you so much. Lieutenant Hulk, who's one of the winners, drops a very generous $2 super chat. He says, I'm telling you, Boom, community game night, Halo is life, dude. I want to play with the community as much as I can. It's just that at night, it's all about Mrs. Boom. She works Monday through Friday. And, I do this during the day as well as taking care of the house. So at night, it's all about, giving her the attention that she deserves. But brother, I promise you, there is going to be a time we're going to work it out, and I'm going to contact you first. I'm going to play Halo and have a blast. Thank you for the super chat. Sith Lord drops an additional $2 super chat and says, shout out, Boom. Oh, he did. I actually said this for entertaining me 5 days a week. We also have Lieutenant Hulk drops an additional $2 super chat and says, thank you, Boom. I'm a Metrovania head too. Can't wait. Yeah, brother, just hit me up and I will get you that code forthwith. And more than likely, what I'm going to do is just get you a $25 gift card. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to wind up doing. Instead of just getting you the game, we're going to give everyone a $25 gift card to your, choice of whatever, and we're just going to do the giveaway like that. And just we'll see. I'll get you the game one way or the other, or if I have to ship the money, we'll ship the money one way or another. Just DM me, hit me up on Xbox Live, and I could gift it to you if you're in the States. That would be even easier by your gamer tag. And of course, we will send you the money via PayPal so you could buy the game. Hopefully, you buy the game. Whole Grain Bread drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, I believe Saber bought themselves out of Embracer. Yeah, they did. They kind of did like a Bungie kind of a situation where they bought themselves back with an investor. I don't know who their investor was, but they did. But I think it was like $500 million or something like that, if I recall correctly. We have Don Otaku drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Coffee Stain is a studio and the creators of Deep Rock Galactic, Embracer's biggest game. And Valheim, that's why that's the name of one of those groups. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, so thank you so much for the correction, Don. Super appreciate that.
Enlighten me for sure. Appreciate that.
Let's get your hot take on the some of the new information that we just went through.
Yeah, so that's enlightening. Thank you, Don, for that, because I was so confused. I'm like, why are they calling it that? But the more I'm looking into this, I will say that it seems like not only they have to do this, right? They have to structure things a certain way to not go under, it feels like. And it feels a bit kind of like how we had this whole situation with Toys for Bob and how they suddenly split. And we were all like, well, how did they just split without paying their way out, basically, right? And well, maybe Microsoft allowed them to go so they wouldn't have to be closed down. So this seems kind of in that same vein to me to some degree. Obviously, they're still owned by Embracer, but they're done and they have their own, as
leadership and
Jamie
stuff.
was,
Yeah.
on leadership, and as Jamie was pointing out, they have their own separate listing on the NASDAQ, for instance, in Stockholm. So with looking more into it, going to what site is this? It's going to the VGC site. Going to VGC, which is that's what's his name? Tom Warren, right?
VGC is Andy Robinson.
Andy Robinson. So
Yes.
it basically breaks down that Asmodee will continue to operate as a publisher and distributor of board games, trading cards, and their digital board games, and will consist of 23 fully owned studios. So, and Coffee Stain and Friends, which is what Don was just pointing out, they'll focus on PC, console, and mobile, including community-driven free-to-play games, live ops games, indie, and AA. So I remember seeing something about the AA part, and they'll operate under premium and free-to-play divisions. And the premium segment will consist of Coffee Stain, THQ Nordic. I was wondering about that, by the way, because they had THQ Nordic listed. I'm like, wouldn't they be more to AAA, you would think? But they're the premium part. So I guess that'll be because of the free-to-play and offerings and things like that. Ghost Ship, Tuxedo Labs, Tarsier, I'm not sure how you would say that, Amplifier Game, Invest, and others. And then the Middle Earth, which is the big dogs, right? That's the AAA faction. That'll be a creative powerhouse in AAA game development and publishing for PC, console, of course, like you listed, the Lord of the Rings, Tomb Raider, et cetera, et cetera. So seeing all of that, the way it's broke down, it seems like it's a I don't want to say a ploy, but it seems like it's an effort to make sure that with them being separated and operated by some type of chief officer, that it will possibly stop the bleeding. So maybe it's really smart. Maybe this is the way they needed to do it, because they did have as we all knew, a ridiculous amount of studios that they owned. And maybe this will correct some of those mismanagements, I guess you would say. People might say, well, mismanagement, well, how? They were doing fine. Well, they did something wrong, clearly, where they made this verbal agreement and didn't have it actually signed into paper. And and now they paid for it, right? Because so something went wrong with leadership. So I think this might stem that tide, maybe possibly. It seems, reading it here, I get actually a bit of hope for it, looking into it more now and seeing how they all have their own NASDAQ index. So it feels like they're separate entities when they're actually wholly owned by Embracer. So I'm interested in seeing how it'll go. Hopefully, like I said, we don't want to hear any more about job losses and things of that nature. No,
certainly not. Absolutely.
So I'm hoping the best for them. We don't want any, especially those IP. We don't want any of those IP to go under and not be properly utilized and such either. So I think this might be a step in the right direction now that I'm actually really looking into it. I still get weary about Embracer because it just seems like it's been one bad news after another for them, but this might be something that can actually stop the bleeding.
It does. Different three different entities, three different ideologies. I would imagine they're all going to meet together, and they're going to try and keep this streamlined and keep it going. But just looking from the outside in, I kind of feel like you're onto something, and Jamie's onto something, that it's possible that maybe one or multiple of these new divisions were created to potentially, if things don't go the way that they wanted to originally, maybe they're sold off in pieces rather than, because before it was all out of order. Right now it seems it's streamlined, right? Everything is where it needs to be. And if you're someone like a Microsoft that's potentially looking to buy another publisher or a piece of a publisher, this would be like, hey, we're buying this, but we don't need all this other stuff, right? They don't need the card games,
right?
So it's going to be very interesting to say the least. But let's get everyone out of here. And once again, a big shout out and congratulations. I'll read the winners to you once again. I will do a hashtag announcement on Twitter once I get myself together. The 10 winners are Kaya Walker, Leonard Herrera, Def Leopard, Dusty, Big Mad Mo, Abnormal Status, Sandy Hans, Lieutenant Hulk, Sith Lord, and Samer Fan. Reach out to me one way or another. There's multiple ways. DM me, obviously, is the easiest way. hit me up on Xbox Live. It's at Mr. BoomStick XL. Get me a message. If once we can vet that you are the person you say you are, then we will of course get you your prize. And of course, if none of those two are in your wheelhouse, you can email me at go into the information for the channel, and the business email address is there. And shout out to Chaos Theory, who's been a channel member for, my God, 50 freaking 3 months, dude. That is crazy generous of you. It's probably as long as the channel's been around, bro. That is crazy. Thank you so much for that. He says, another great podcast, brother. Love catching it live. Well, thank you so much. And again, you're going to see what we're trying to do. If you've noticed, I've been doing uploads of segments that I cut down. I add gameplay, and there's an intro and outro. I'm doing that because I'm trying to brute force the algorithm for YouTube, which is very frustrating at times to notice the channel. So if you can't beat them, join them. So you're going to see a lot of the segments that we had here today show up in 15 or 17 or even 19-minute segments. If you see them, I post all of them. Just give it a retweet, because maybe someone doesn't have 2 hours to watch the show and they want to piecemeal it. A view is a view. And at this point, YouTube is just, I don't know what's going on. It's just been very difficult to navigate the algorithm. This is a new way of trying things. Plus, we're doing a bunch of new shorts, obviously, you've seen. So, like I said, just help a channel out, a small mom and pop channel out, by giving it a retweet when you see it. But let's get everyone out of here. Start first with Infinite Umbra. Sir, you have a show happening this Thursday called The Fix. You and Danny talk about, well, everything, including wrestling, as sometimes you talk about. I mean, obviously with WrestleMania, I don't watch wrestling like I used to. The best wrestling for me was the WCW days with the NWO. I don't think it's ever been better.
Oh.
Yeah. NWO for life, brother. For life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, listen, sell your brand. Tell everyone where they can subscribe to The Fix, your incredible YouTube channel, and more importantly, find you on social media.
Yes. Yeah, man, we talk about so much on that show. It's crazy. It seems like whenever we get into the wrestling talk, by the way, we just get deviated, and it seems to take up so much time. We did it one time. I'm like, well, we're supposed to talk about Fallout, aren't we? Anyway, yeah, guys, first off, thank you, Boom, of course, for doing your thing and hosting all of us fine gentlemen on your show.
Thank you,
5
sir.
days a week. And like I'm puzzled and befuddled and on how you do such a thing and continuously keep all that consistent content going for our lovely fan base and audience and family here. But yeah, much love to you for having us, of course, on the show. And yeah, you guys can find me, of course, on Twitter X, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. And as Boone pointed out, Thursdays, The Fix brought to you by 90F. I'm sorry, I got into my radio voice. The Fix with me and Daniel J. McGee. I'm sure some of you guys miss here in the chat, who was with us on Tuesdays, but life and work and such, and he has to shift and he couldn't make it here anymore. But Thursdays you can still hear him. And we do talk about a lot of different things, be it wrestling, be it movies, TV, whatever, on top of gaming. So if you guys are into all those other things, which I'm sure you are, definitely come by and give us a view. This week, I'm not sure what the show will be centered around, but we'll figure it out. But definitely we have, I believe my brother Crusader might be joining me. So we'll see what's up with that. But yeah, it was one other thing I was going to say. Oh yeah, I shared Hargeet's links again to his book. Now that's just for the signing, so I think it's a bit more expensive because of that. I'm not sure, but he said in the chat earlier that it will be available on Amazon shortly. So maybe in the next, I don't know, a few days, if not a week or so, it'll be on Amazon for purchase without the signing. And I think it might be less because of that. I'm not certain. I don't want to misspeak, but yeah. So shout out to Hargeet and his book, and I will definitely get a copy myself. I don't need your signature though, sir. So I'll be getting the signature less.
I'll have him sign it because we're going to meet up in June. So yes, I'll buy this book and have him sign it. There you go.
Perfect.
That's what I'm talking.
Perfect. And yeah, shout out to everybody who was nice enough to donate. Shout out to the winners who won. And yeah, let's keep that party going. Let's keep this community going that way. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, David Apotica asked a question. Boom, you got any quotes from your dad? Yeah, there's one particular one I don't say very often. He said to us when we were very small. My dad was a blue collar guy, right? Worked 6 days a week. Mom stayed home, took care of the boys. That's just the way it was back in those days. And I was a big G.I. Joe fan, as you all know. G.I. Joe is the reason why I became a police officer, literally because of G.I. Joe. My first G.I. Joe I got in 1982. My mom took me to Playworld, which was a toy store way back in the days. And I got Stalker as my first G.I. Joe and Zap, the bazooka dude with the vamp, the vamp one. So obviously I used to get $7 a week for allowance. My brother used to get 5 because I was older, and I did more. Sorry, I just did. I always did all the chores and did everything. So when I would ask my dad for things, and I didn't ask a lot because it's just you don't ask your pops for stuff like that. Just days one salary. He used to say this, and this is pretty interesting. I don't know if it would work with these kids these days, but it certainly worked with me. He used to say when I would ask him for something, like, "Oh, Dad, can I get the new G.I. Joe base?" He would say, "Craig, if I have it, you have it. If I don't have it, I can't give it." You can't even argue that, right? So that's a quote from Mr. Senior Boomstick. But thanks so much for asking. Appreciate you, brother. Jamie, the elusive gamer, Mr. Mass Effect himself. He has, folks, an outstanding, ridiculously good YouTube channel. And when he's not running from his life from the Arkham escapees that consistently attack him on Twitter, he puts out amazing tweets on Twitter and on X. Jamie, brother, sell your brand. Tell everyone they can check out your incredible YouTube channel, but more importantly, follow you on social media.
Yeah, thanks, Boom, for having us on again. It's always a pleasure. Yeah, the Arkham escapees are always going after me, but it is what it is. But anyway, so my YouTube channel is The Elusive Gamer. It's an Xbox-centric channel. No doom and gloom will ever be there, although I'm honest, and Xbox is in a great shape at the minute, so it's pretty positive over there. I put out a video produced video every week that takes like 12 to 20 hours of
It's
editing
long, I
sometimes.
know, dude. Yeah, it's a lot.
I have another video coming out this week, which I've already put like 18 hours into. So that would be appreciated if people go over there. I have a podcast that's on every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, All Things Xbox Podcast, which is, as people can guess, it's Xbox centric. And we cover basically like 12 to 18 different topics per episode. And try to keep it under 2 hours, so it's always fun times over there. But yeah, Xbox centric stuff on The Elusive Gamer, and my Twitter is Jamie Man UK, where it's just a bunch of game and stuff, clips and jokes and stuff.
Well, it's great. Listen, brother, having you a part of this too, when you can be here on Tuesdays is amazing. Obviously, Umber's a part of it. Now we were supposed to have Crazy Lou Gaming. He got hung up doing some work stuff, so he'll be back next week. But a big thank you to everyone. Over 700 people tuned into this show, both through Twitter or X, wherever you want to call it, and YouTube. Listen, if you are finding the channel for the first time, and I saw a lot of new names, we're not asking for much. You don't have to pay anything. Simply just hit the like button on your way out the door. And if you're feeling super generous, please consider subscribing. We are on the hunt for 15K, and it would be pretty dope to hit that in 2024. And again, congratulations to all of the winners of our impromptu 10 copies of Zao giveaway, Tales of Kanzara, which is something I cannot wait to play. And hopefully, again, reach out to me. We'll definitely try and get everyone their game before the end of the day. But if I can't reach out to somebody, we'll wait a couple of days. We'll keep mentioning it on the other shows so everyone gets their prizes. And of course, a big thank you to all of the super chats that come in that allow us to actually do these big giveaways. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. He would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor podcast.